where it should be.
You know the rules of the show. You put an X next to it. Defend it.
Hello, world, and welcome back to Gridiron Gamble, the only podcast that puts its money where its mouth is. I'm your host, Rich Ryan, and I'm joined by the entire collective, the Disciple, Brett Colson, Donnie, DP Peters, and the resident moose himself, Mo Nawara. This is the 10th season of the show, if you can believe it or not. And we are very thankful that you are here along for the ride as we enter Circa Sports Million and the Circa Survivor Contest. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Listeners, rate and review on your podcatcher of choice. 5 stars only. Like Chiefs legend, Super Bowl champion, Juju Smith-Schuster. SC's own back-to-back Trojans here on the pod. Like I said, this is our 10th season. We have 7 winning seasons out of 9 thus far. As you can see on the screen here on YouTube, I have a nice graphic up right now. But guys, we've never topped our maiden voyage in these Vegas contests, going 53 and 32 in 2015. 53% winning percentage overall. Mo, of course, has the best top 5 at 53.3%. Donnie's the only one under 500, but he's only under by 2 games. Are we ever going to recapture the magic that was 2015, DP?
Do you remember how bad we were, too?
We were awful. We were terrible.
It's just like poker. You just show up, you win, you think you got it all fucking solved, and then you're never going to win again. It's just how it works. But maybe it's just the year of the moose. The kid's been on fire. I'm banking on that. Mo, please, for the love of God, put the team on your back and carry us to the finish line, buddy. Come on.
Little homer check here. Everybody has a winning record. Everybody is beating the VIG with their favorite teams. Mo is 54% in Chiefs games. Donnie is 54% in Patriots games. I'm 52 and some percent in Jets games. But Brett, loser on your Buffalo Bills, 49%. Why can't you get them right, buddy?
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with, was it 2019, where I just bet against them every week and they covered every single week. I must have been like 3 and 13 on Bills games that year. I don't know. I always get this team wrong. We talk about it every year, and so that is not a huge surprise.
Not a martingale master. By the way, our worst season was the COVID year, which also is no surprise. Fake injury reports, fake bubble football. We just weren't all about that. All right, week 1, let's do it. As always, everybody thinks they know things. Nobody knows what the hell is going to go on once the ball is in the air tonight. Chiefs, Ravens, new kickoff rules. So let's try to parse things out. And the collective equally has no idea what's going on because we have exactly 0 consensus picks. 0. So let's get into it with split games where there are, of course, 2 hosts on one side and 2 hosts on the other. And we start with Titans at Bears. The Chicago Bears are 3.5-point favorites in the contest. Last line I saw in real life was 4. The majority of tickets are on Will Levis and dem boys, but that does not deter Brett and myself from hopping on the Titans bandwagon. Brett, we have them equal in our top 5, but I'll cede the floor to you and let you talk Tennessee.
Well, first of all, how many of those tickets came in when the Bears were minus 4.5? We're looking at 3.5 here. I absolutely refuse to back a rookie quarterback in his debut as a favorite north of 3. Like, Caleb Williams looked great in the preseason. There's video of him saying that he doesn't get nervous. Nothing bothers him. Yeah, show me in NFL week 1 as a favorite of 3.5, 4.5, whatever the number is. All the hype on the Bears and these weapons coming into the year. The Titans, meanwhile, the toilet of the AFC South, by far the longest shot to win that division, but there's very little talk about the improvements this team has made in the offseason. On the defensive side especially, some big additions. L'Jarius Sneed, Awuzie, Quandre Diggs, Jamal Adams, who's unlikely to play on Sunday, unfortunately. But these guys are all pros. Like, this is a pro team. By week 8, this line probably makes a lot more sense to me with Williams having more meaningful snaps under his belt for the Bears. But when you factor in his first start, with the fact that the Bears, even with the hook here, I think are going to be popular in this contest this week, this is an auto click for me. I love the Titans in this spot. And I think they could probably just win this game outright too.
Why not? Why can't the Titans just win this game? We're talking about Caleb Williams playing in big games. I've also seen him crying into his mother's bosom after an unprofessional football game. So let's not get too excited about the kid. Yeah, I just think this is way too rich. Just hang the field goal, see what happens. But the fact that we're getting a hook is way too valuable for me to pass up in a week where there are a ton of games that I have no finger on the pulse of. This is one with two middling to probably bad teams by the end of the year, where one team is getting way too much value in the number here. And yeah, I'm kind of Callahan-pilled as well. We saw him do some tremendous stuff with Jake Browning last year at quarterback. So let's see if he can get an ounce of production out of Will Levis. Mo, the Bears bubbled your top 5, so take up the shield for Chi-Town.
Yeah, I actually was originally really liking the Titans when I first saw this line weeks ago. I don't know. I guess the more I look at this Bears team, the more I'm talking myself into this defense, to be honest with you. I don't like their pass rush for sure, but I just feel like all their weaknesses line up with weak points on the Titans, basically. I just think the matchup might be good for them. I mean, this secondary looks like it could be elite, first of all. So I don't know if Tennessee is going to be able to throw the ball much in this game with a bad quarterback. And then you have a Tennessee O-line that is probably going to be a little rough, especially early while they're building chemistry. And I don't like this Bears pass rush. So if there's any team that they can get pressure on, it's probably Tennessee. And then I like this Tennessee defense. I do. But the Bears do... The Bears do have some weapons. I don't know, man. The more I've looked at this game, I think I honestly just like the under, man. 44 and a half. I don't think there's going to be a ton of points here. I kind of like these defenses in this spot. That's what honestly makes me want to click on Tennessee, because I think it could be a low-scoring game, but Caleb can actually drive for touchdowns, I think, and I don't know if Will Levis can. So I guess I kind of feel like the Bears should be a little higher, but not one I'll probably bet.
By the way, as you can see, the Titans logo is gold for Brett and I, signifying that it is in our top 5. And you'll see in this next game as we move out west, as the Las Vegas Raiders take a short flight here to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, that the Raiders are gold for both Brett and Mo, as they're taking the shoe plus the points in LA. Mo, kick things off with the Raiders.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say we can't give the Chargers a single point of home field here, right? I mean, this is going to be like more Raiders fans in the house than Chargers. So without home field, I just can't get to 3 here, man. I'm looking at this game, and I don't think the Chargers are 3 points better than the Raiders. I don't even know if they're 1 point better than the Raiders for sure. The Raiders, they still have a really nice collection of skill players, man. And then you look at the way the Chargers are going to play football this year. This is an offensive line with a lot of power. I think they're going to come out and do what everyone thinks, which is try to road grade people into the ground. Well, the Raiders had an elite run defense the second half of last year, and they only added to the talent on this defense. And then you look at where the Raiders are weak. Jacorian Bennett is terrible. Their linebackers can't cover. Well, who do they got to cover? The Chargers don't have anybody to throw to, man. I mean, and then you look at the players the Chargers are handing off to. I mean, I know running backs don't matter, but man, I mean, if you're going to run the ball a bunch, you probably need some decent ones, and they have Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. So I cannot trust this team to run away from anyone. I know it's only 3 points, but I think Raiders are the side here, man. I think I'm probably going to have some Raiders money line. Another thing is massive culture shift here, man. I think that's going to take some time to gel. You are going from the softest coach in the NFL to a complete lunatic here. So I think there could be a big adjustment period there.
Slow to get to my buttons, so I'll give you that one. By the way, don't besmirch late round legend Kamani Vidal ever again. That kid's going to be electric when he finally gets the ball.
You are a best ball bro. Oh my God.
Brett, pile on. You love the Raiders too.
I do. The Chargers might just be really bad this year. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I loaded up on this passing offense in best ball. All this talk about Greg Roman and how they're going to cram the ball 30 times a game on the ground. But what if they have no choice but to throw in games because they're playing from behind? This is not the Chargers roster of 2 to 3 years ago that I swooned over before the season. This offensive line is back to being abysmal again. The front four still has big names, Bosa, Mack, Allen, but these guys are another year older. How impactful are they going to be this year? And if they can't generate pressure, this secondary is going to get picked apart. And like Mo said, meanwhile, the Raiders have done some cool things in the offseason. I think the defense is better than people think, and they have weapons on offense, too. I am Brock Bowers' #1 super fan. He's a game changer, could make a difference up the middle.
I have so much Bowers in fantasy this year.
I just traded for him in Dynasty a few hours ago. Like, I love this kid. I think he could make a difference in this game.
So much love for a tight end, too, in a bad offense with a bad quarterback.
Tight end, too? Have you watched this kid play football?
Something Mayer. Didn't they invest
He caught 27 passes last year, I think.
Something Mayer. I know somebody who's here to dump on the Raiders. Someone who absolutely hates Antonio Pierce, besmirches him at every chance he gets, and that's DP.
Yeah, listen, I'm not getting off the anti-Antonio Pierce bandwagon until proven otherwise. I think this guy is a complete nothing as a head coach. You know, he's kind of Mike Tomlin-esque in terms of being that rah-rah player-friendly guy, but Mike Tomlin is worlds better than this guy, and that's not saying that much because I don't think Mike Tomlin's even that good. I don't think that this Raiders team is that good at all. We talked about him on some of our futures pods, where I am with this team. You know, I have tickets on them to have the worst record in the NFL. I have a pretty good idea of what Gardner Minshew is. We have talked about him on this podcast many times. We like him as a backup coming in when needed. We absolutely hate him as a starter. I cannot get behind Gardner Minshew. I cannot get behind this Raiders offense. I can't get behind anything. Maybe on the other side of things, I'm buying way too much of the hype. I'm drinking way too much of the Kool-Aid on the whole Jim Harbaugh thing. Everywhere that guy goes, all he does is produce winners. I don't care about the style of play. I don't care about any of that. Harbaugh wins football games. He dominates. That's what he does. Change of culture? Fine. It's going to be a change of culture. It's going to be a culture shock. Yes. He's the guy. He is the guy who can turn this team around. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. For the Chargers, I think they're going to do a lot of damage, surprise a lot of teams this year, and it's going to start here week 1 as they dominate the Raiders, for sure.
The last time Harbaugh entered the NFL, he took a very lackluster Niners team, and they were 13 wins in that season en route to the NFC Championship, where they lost to the New York Giants. I have zero opinion on this game. It is my last pick, but I took the Chargers because they have the better coach and they have the better quarterback. Let's move to the middle of America, kind of, on the lakes, where the Dallas Cowboys will travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns. And I don't understand why the Browns are favored in this game. I believe this is the wrong team favored. I believe, at a minimum, this game should be a pick'em. And it dates back to last year, where I stamped my philosophy. The good defense, bad offense team is a bad football team. And until I see Deshaun Watson complete forward passes, I'm not going to believe in an offense that's going to turn in hand to something Jerome Ford. On top of that, the entire Browns offensive line is banged up, limited in practice this week. Hell of a way to start the season when Conklin and Willis, I know they're vets, are struggling to get off the line. I think people are just lining up to shit on this Cowboys team because they didn't do anything in free agency, but they still got Micah Parsons. They still got CeeDee Lamb. And as much as we like to dump on them when it matters, they still have a quarterback who was second in MVP voting last year. Love the boys this week in my top 5. Mo, you do the jerk off motion, but you too have the Cowboys damn near your top 5.
I kind of felt like this should be a pick 'em too. I don't know, man. I don't believe in either one of these teams, to be honest with you. Like, I kind of want to fade them both. I don't really believe in either team, but like you said, the Cowboys, I feel like, can possibly move the ball here. And they also, man, there's an adjustment period, I think, again here with a coach coming in for Cleveland. I don't know what kind of a match Ken Dorsey is going to be with this roster, man. I mean, he wanted to throw the ball 70% of the time with the Bills. I don't see that as a recipe for success when Deshaun Watson is your quarterback. I don't know what to expect here. I think this is just going to be an ugly, low-scoring game, man. I do not see either one of these teams putting together that many drives. So I guess give me the points, and I could see this one being like a 17-16 final either way, but I definitely don't want to lay it with the Browns. I just think tough situation with Ken Dorsey coming in, possibly wanting to throw it a lot, an offensive line that you said is banged up, but I'm seeing Wills is out, I think. So I think it's going to be DeJuan Jones starting, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but
he went from limited to out. The last practice report I saw that was sent through RotoWire was a Wednesday where he was an LP.
I was hearing, I thought Conklin was going to switch sides, so it's like it could be in complete chaos over there.
Good old
like
O-line Tetris. O-line Tetris week
tackle.
1.
Yeah,
never,
that's not good.
Never love to see that. This is a one-pointer for both Brett and DP. But Brett, I feel like you're a little Browns-pilled going back to preseason last year. So I'll let you pick up the shield for Cleveland.
Going back a while, I feel like. I think that has a lot to do with this. Just my bias to the Browns and this defense and this coaching staff. And maybe still believing a little bit that Deshaun Watson could be a thing, even though he's not. I have nothing really on this game. This is with my one-pointer, 0 confidence points, so I didn't know what to do with it. I think 2 is a weird number, too. It's just like, just there. So,
but the market's going towards the Browns a little bit, right?
Yeah, I honestly don't understand that move. Let's move to the Dirty South, where the Dirty Birds play host to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Falcons are minus 3.5 in the contest, despite I haven't seen the hook in real life yet. This feels fake line, and yet looks like most of the tickets are on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I had some trouble with this one. I ultimately landed on the Steelers, but very low. I'm just generally lower than the market on the Falcons, I guess. But DP, talking about magic, talking about voodoo, he's got Tomlin in his top 5.
Yeah, listen, maybe I'm stuck on my priors here as well. You know, given the fact that I picked the Steelers over 8.5 wins here, have that in my accounts. We're getting north of a field goal here in the contest. I feel like I have a decent idea of what to expect from the Steelers, most specifically on the defensive side of the ball. I think this defense is going to be pretty good. And in that same vein, we get this defense going against a Falcons offense that is under a new coach, new quarterback who's 36 years old, coming off an Achilles. I have questions there. So I don't really know what to expect, what they're going to look like in full week 1 of the season. You know, yes, Pittsburgh has its own mid-30s QB in Russell Wilson. But listen, maybe shout out ODB, maybe I'm stubborn here, but I refuse to believe that even this version of Russell Wilson is worse than the barely can stand Ben Roethlisberger, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett, that crap bag offering of quarterbacks that
Duck
they had to work
Hodges.
with.
Got to get Duck Hodges in there.
They were so bad. I mean, come on. Like, if you take that group, Russ is at the top of that group. I'm sorry. And Russ is not that good. So, I mean, there has to be some improvement there, I feel like for that side of the ball. So I think this is a little bit too high. I think this is one of those lines where, fast forward, let's say 8 to 10 weeks, we can look back on this one and say, well, why were the Falcons 3.5? Why wasn't it just 2.5 and we just move on? Like, I don't know. I don't get it. And then listen, lastly, Narrativeville, how amped up is Arthur Smith going to be? He's had
home.
months to prepare for the revenge. Months. If he's going to cook 1 week this season, it's this week. This is Arthur Smith's effing Super Bowl, baby. You know it is, Brett. Brett, you know it is his Super Bowl.
Who
Come
cares?
on.
It's
He's going to win
Arthur
the game,
Smith.
and he's going to retire. That's what happens.
Get your Cordarrelle overs in. That's all I'm telling you. Arthur's busting out all the good plays in this game. Mo, you've got the Falcons below the fold, but you've got them higher than Brett, so you've got to pick up the shield.
I have not heard or seen one positive note about Russell Wilson this offseason. All I am hearing is that he looks dreadful. Then a report comes out today that he is hurt. I mean, I can't argue with anything Donnie said about that list of quarterbacks. I mean, I just found myself nodding along. He's not wrong about that. But this Steelers offense could be absolutely bottom of the barrel. I am not high on the Falcons, but I kind of feel like they should be a little bit bigger favorites. Let me just tell you guys this. I am praying Donnie is right. I want a tremendous performance from the Steelers. I might have 25 units on the Broncos next week. I looked at that line. This is look-ahead line. Spoiler alert. If this line does not change, this is my number one pick next week. I promise you that. How are the Steelers laying 3 in Denver? This is insane, guys. Insane.
Wow. All right,
Russell
split
Wilson
games.
revenge, bro. That's why.
Oh, wow.
It's
Double
the entire
revenge.
Denver. They hated him.
Split games in the books. You might be hearing about 2 of those games again later in the program. All right, time for some Lone Wolves. Since we have no consensus this week, that means there's going to be a ton of Lone Wolves. Yes, there are 11 Lone Wolves this week. We start with Brett, who is the only member of the collective above 500 lifetime in Lone Wolves. He's 2 games over 500, and his first game is going to be a perplexing one for the rest of the collective because he is laying the points with Miami and the Dolphins, the greatest football team. The greatest football team, minus 3.5 against their cohabitants in the state of Florida, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brett, take it away.
There's a big part of me that feels like Miami might just blow the doors off Jacksonville in this one. New defensive coordinator in Jacksonville, new scheme. And in week 1, they have to try to stop Reek and Jalen and Achane. I just don't see it. I think Jacksonville should be able to score here too, but I think McDaniels has just had too much time to draw up a game plan to shred this secondary, and I don't think 3.5 points is enough. Jacksonville might be fine this year and compete for that division, but I think this is a brutal way for them to open the season. So, yeah, I like the Dolphins quite a bit, minus 3.5.
Every single member of the collective has the Jacksonville Jaguars in their top 5. I think the most surprising thing about this game, looking at the injury report, is that Jalen Phillips might play, which is surprising to me, but I would assume
I saw
even
snap count. I saw snap count. So if
I was
he
gonna
plays,
say,
he's not playing the full game.
even if he goes, this dude cannot be 100%. He tore his Achilles on Thanksgiving. How is it possible that this guy is going to be explosive on a football field? Jalen Ramsey hasn't practiced this week. Mike McDaniels just at the podium blabbing about his injury, making absolutely no sense, trying to describe what's going on. So this doesn't seem like the Dolphins team that might come into form later in the season. Meanwhile, Jacksonville's completely retooled on offense. This is a pro Trevor Lawrence podcast, bounce back season AF. So I'm very happy to take the hook in this spot, and I would not be shocked if the Jags just win this game outright. Mo, you're doing a lot of nodding over there. Sorry, I got you when you're drinking water.
I just feel like the Jaguars are undervalued. I've talked about that before. I think that Trevor Lawrence had an extremely unlucky season, an injury-marred season. He's going to play much better this year. And you have a Miami team that has no pass rush. They have no pass rush. Unless Jalen Phillips is magically back, who is rushing the passer on this team? Calais Campbell is almost 40. They have nothing left up front.
You're such an ageist now. It's unbelievable.
I know this secondary is good, but I still think this is pro football with a good quarterback. If you do not get any pressure on the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence is going to move the ball. And when does just having horrific offensive line talent eventually matter for this Dolphins team? Doesn't it have to at some point? It might for the Jags this week. They have a good pass rush. I mean, they lost their best guard, right? And something called Liam Eichenberg is starting. I don't know. I see what Brett is saying, and that's making me want to bet the over, to be honest, because I don't know if the Dolphins are going to get many stops here. So I haven't looked at the total in this game. Maybe they're just going to be a lot of points, but yeah, I think the Jaguars are an undervalued team. I think this line should be 3, man. I just do.
DP also has us in his top 5, but he has it low. But he has Brett's next lone wolf in his top 5. So I'll get to you in a second, DP, as we move down Brett's card all the way to the bottom to the Carolina Panthers. So I reach for the sounder. Traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Saints are -4 in the contest. I'm seeing -4 across the board, and Brett is shaking his head about his selection of New Orleans.
Oh, I've gone back and forth on this game all week. Like, I actually really like what I'm seeing with the Panthers offense right now, especially compared to the dumpster fire that it was last year. But the same can also kind of be said for the Saints. New system, finally, and that should open up this offense more. I don't know. As I look at this one again here, I think maybe Carolina might actually be able to get to Carr with Clowney. I totally forgot Clowney joined this team. So, like, we know these Carolina perimeter defenders are excellent and can make plays. And so if Carr's under pressure, Carolina might have some success on defense. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. I was originally looking at New Orleans for Survivor, and then as I looked more and more closely at this game, I've completely gone off that because I also think the Panthers can just win this game. I don't know. I had this one in the middle. I kept moving it down. I actually, by Saturday, I'd probably end up being on the Panthers with you guys. So tell me why the Panthers are the side.
The Panthers can just win this game as Donnie nods with Carolina in his top 5.
I mean, the Panthers took a page out of whose book from a year or two ago? The Jaguars, just kind of adding decent professional football players and not coming back out there with that shitbag roster that they had last season. Like, is this long-term good for the franchise, roster building, all that sort of stuff? Probably not. Can they be representative as an NFL team this season? Yes. I'm not fully sure what to expect from Dave Canales as head coach, but he has to be better than the Frank Reich experience that we had to go through. That was just an absolute dumpster fire that was happening. On the other side, I hate the Saints team. I've kind of always hated them. I hate them more and more every single year. Maybe I'm just scorned in the fact that every time we've been on them, they've just acted like complete a-holes out there, and I can't stand it. I can't get behind Derek Carr. I can't get behind, if Mo's going to be an ageist, I'm going to be an ageist for the Saints. They got a lot of older players on their roster, and I certainly can't get behind Dennis Allen. I mean, that guy feels like he's just like going to get fired at any given point. I don't know what the Saints ownership is, doing. I haven't looked into it that much, but like he just seems like he's just there. He's just a guy. Just the whole thing just seems highly questionable on the Saints side of the ball. Bryce Young is going to be a key factor in this, of course. Like, we're going to need him to obviously improve. That said, under the new coaching staff, getting some better players around him, I think he can. A step up isn't like that much to ask given where he was in year one. A divisional opponent, someone they're familiar with, you're getting 4 points. Yes, you're on the road, but kind of whatever. I don't know. I think this one should be 3. at the highest, if not just 2.5, and call it a day and go from there. So I think 4 points is certainly way too much here.
Absolutely need the Dave Canales bump for Bryce Young. Vamos a Sao Paulo, where the Packers take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, who seemed absolutely thrilled to be in Brasilia for this contest, and for the third contest in a row. Brett, you've got the favorite. Eating all the chalk, buddy.
I have no position on this game. This is the bottom of my card.
Defend it. You clicked it. You put an X next to it.
I refuse to defend it. I have nothing written down. I don't know what to do with this game. It's in Brazil. Like, how are we supposed to cap this game? I don't know.
You take the Packers. That's what you do.
I'll tell you how you're supposed to cap this one.
Why?
Why?
All people have been talking about, all the markets are telling us is that Green Bay is like the best team in the universe. Yet somehow on a neutral field, they're +2 against the Eagles. I don't know. Maybe I'm the idiot, but like all the love that the Packers have been getting, I'm like, why is this +2?
Everyone's excited for the Eagles too.
I don't know if everyone. I think people are way more excited for the Packers.
If this game, I wish this game was taking place in Omaha and not Sao Paulo, because I would have Green Bay. No, I would have Green Bay in my top 5 without a doubt. How
what are you guys seeing? I don't understand.
The problem is that the Eagles' defense stinks, okay? They finished last year 28th against the pass. Their secondary stinks out loud. And on the other side of the ball, you've got a Packers receiving corps that is like 7 players deep, and you've got LaFleur dialing it up on every single play. Yes, the Eagles' offense is also impressive. I think the over might be the play in this game, despite it being 49. It's high, but these two offenses, especially if the Packers don't get it together with a Boston College-ass coordinator, this game could just be an absolute shootout down in Brazil. But I don't know how the Eagles are getting stops in this game. I'm completely love-pilled. I'm very LaFleur-pilled. And I think this Packers offense is definitely going to eat. Your last Lone Wolf. This is a game I'm fascinated by, and I want to bring it back up in the Survivor segment. Your first dog. I guess Rams could make that sound. Lions definitely going to make that sound. Brett, you're taking the points with McVay and company on Sunday Night Football.
I mean, not really. Again, this is the bottom of my card. I don't have much here. I think this line is just where it should be. At 3.5.
You know the rules of the show. You put an X next to it. Defend
How is he always so low on his lone wolves, yet he has the best lone wolf record ever? It makes no effing sense to me.
I have one lone wolf that I can stand behind today. I don't know. You guys tell me. Like I'm a Stafford guy too. So I mean I at this number, I just think the Rams can stay with him.
The Lions are one of the best teams in the NFL.
Sure.
Look at that roster. They had a horrific secondary, and they actually got players that I think could actually be decent there this year. Where are the holes on this roster? Someone tell me. The Lions are as good as anybody top to bottom. They really are.
Coach.
The number one Dan Campbell hater on the planet.
How can you
Why
hate
is this
Dan
3.5 then?
Campbell?
Why isn't it 6?
It shouldn't be. I think it should be more than 3.5. I don't think people are properly taking into account what Aaron Donald means.
And Raheem. This was a bad defense last year. You remove a generational, like exponentially generational player out of the middle of the defense, and you take Raheem away.
And their best corner just went on IR today, I think. Where did that come from? How are the Rams getting a stop? Someone tell me.
I'm right there with you. I want to take the Lions in Survivor this week. They're only projected to be touchdown favorites once this season.
I think the Lions might roll here.
I mean, if you guys think that, then I think Lions probably are a great Survivor play. You guys will be on an island. Nobody's taking them.
People love the Rams. They love the Rams. Bounce back season, McVay, playoffs, this, and the third. All right, we move to Donnie, whose first game is taking place where he grew up. As the Arizona Cardinals travel to upstate New York.
The Bills make me wanna shout.
Let's take on the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are -6.5 in the contest. I'm seeing 6 in real life. This opened at 7 way back when in the spring. And DP, you were the only person taking Josh Allen in the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, maybe I'm crazy for doing so. I don't know. I like the Bills as a survivor play as well, so maybe that's kind of muddying my thought process here, but I don't see how the Cardinals get any sort of stop against Josh Allen. So if they're just going to score at will, I mean, why can't the Bills just name the score and just do whatever they want over there? On the other side, listen, yes, no Milano on defense for the Bills is a red flag, but I'm a little bit weary of everything positive that I'm hearing out of Arizona. All I hear every single damn day, go on social media, I hear that Kyler Murray is going to be the best quarterback in the universe in fantasy. I hear that Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to break all these damn records, and I hear that freaking Trey McBride is the next coming of Tony Gonzalez. That's all I effing hear, okay? So I'm out on it. I can't do it, okay? So I'm going to go with Josh Allen. The guy is amazing. I don't care who he has, doesn't have, whatever for wide receivers. He will get the ball to these people. He will get the job done. Also, I mean, it's not easy to play in Buffalo. It's not. You got to go all the way across.
If there was ever a time, if you're a soft ass dome team though, if there was
ever
a time,
of course, this is it.
To go to Orchard Park, it would be balmy September weather. By the way, there's reason for optimism for Arizona. Last quarter of the season last year, they were 5th in offensive EPA. They were absolutely cooking. And now they add an unbelievable talent at wide receiver in Marvin Harrison. I need to see it from this Bills offense. And even if I do see it, watching them at the end of last year, their philosophy of closing out games, slowing things down, running the ball. I don't know if they're a team that's built to win by margin, especially against
the
team.
Bills used to beat all the bad teams by 40,
by 50, and then they stopped trying. They just started turning and handing to James Cook a million times a game. And the Cardinals are like the absolute team you want if you're chasing points. Kyler Murray running around like an absolute psychopath back there. I'm talking, but Brett is the highest on the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe this is a red flag if he doesn't get any Bills games right though.
That's true, yeah. But maybe Donnie should just put this one on the card. It's hard for me to lay big numbers with the Bills, like you talked about, given their style of offense under Joe Brady. And the matchup here to me says the Bills will run the ball until the Cardinals prove they can stop it, because it worked last year. I mean, they went on that winning streak. All they were doing was running the football. It has worked. On top of that, you got what should be a capable Cardinals offense in negative script against a Bills secondary that gets a pretty big downgrade year over year. The secondary will likely be the downfall of the Bills this year, and I think Arizona could carve us up. Damar Hamlin is starting on Sunday, so if that gives you any indication, I've talked all this shit about Damar Hamlin on this show. He's not good. I am very nervous about the front four is excellent for the Bills. Beyond that, we are going to be hurting this year.
Just don't direct snap to him on a punt. It's probably inadvisable.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We move down Donnie's card to Vikings at Giants. This has been ping-ponging between one on each side. A game where we are so long for week one. Everybody's been talking about this week ad nauseum. Sharps are just in love with both sides in this game, and I'm like, I want nothing to do with this contest. None of it seems predictive from either side. On one side, you've got Sam Darnold at quarterback. At the other, you've got Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll taking back plays. People are excited about that, but Daniel Jones stinks, so how much does that even matter? Donnie, you were also low on this, but you did select the Vikings, and you know the damn format of the show, so tell us why you clicked.
I wrote, in KOC we trust, I guess. It's exactly what we wrote. I mean, listen, I know you could try and make the argument at least for in Brian Daboll we trust, but I don't know. I haven't seen Brian Daboll do that great of things with this Giants team, where I've seen KOC do a lot of very good stuff with whoever the hell he threw in their quarterback last year. I mean, that was a disaster. Every single week, it was somebody different. It was unbelievable. So that's just what I'm going to back here. But again, no conviction. Very, very, very low.
Respect Tommy DeVito, please. Tommy DeVito
yeah.
was out there winning games last year under Brian Daboll. Come on.
The Giants did win 6 games last year. It is just as shocking as the Jets getting to 7 wins, I think. You're kind of bearing the lead there, Brett. You've got the bull case for the Giants. You've got them in your top 5.
I do, and this is an interesting one because like the Vikings are a team I will be lining up to back this season, but not in week 1 as a road favorite. This is a team that I think can sneak up on people as dogs this year, even win outright at plus money several times. I think that will happen this year, and I will be looking to jump on those opportunities. This ain't one of them. And all this talk about how bad the Giants offense is going to be, let's not forget, this was a playoff team 2 years ago. Daniel Jones put up really good numbers in 2022. And now with a huge weapon added in this passing game, Brian Daboll is now calling plays. I'm expecting this offense to perform above expectation. And that's not saying a whole lot because there are no expectations this year. But I could see this offense being able to move the ball with some creative play calling and the best receiver room since, 2018 with OBJ. And on the other side of the ball, yes, I like this Vikings offense under Kevin O'Connell, but the Giants have some dogs up front that could be a problem for Darnold, limit his ability to find these playmakers downfield. I also don't see many people backing the Giants in Circa this week, so another ugly one that I like quite a bit for the card. I think the Vikings will be the more popular play in this one.
We move to Donnie's last lone wolf. We keep it in the NFC East as he is taking the 3.5 points with the Washington, formerly racial slurs, formerly football team, now Commies, as they travel to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. 3.5 in the contest. I haven't seen it get to the hook. DP, you're taking the points.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to disappoint you, Rich, but I got nothing. I mean, well, I don't know what you want me to say.
All right, well, I got something.
Basically flipped a coin here.
I got something because this is a Todd Bowles special, especially if it is going to be 73% chance of rain, a little bit of slop, rookie quarterback on the road. This is where Todd Bowles cooks. This defense is going to be ready. They're going to confuse the hell out of this rookie. He might look like an idiot on Sunday. The season-long case might be exciting for Jaden Daniels, but this might be just a game where he goes out and is seeing ghosts against Todd Bowles, who's been probably licking his chops for the opportunity to get an inexperienced quarterback to come at home. Bucs offense, still excited about it, even with Canales out the door. Love the weapons. Love that they added McMillan. Rashad White's a fine guy, and Baker Mayfield showed that he's a pro last year, right? That he's not bottom of the barrel. And what are we looking at on this Washington defense that is going to give an ounce of resistance to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers passing attack? So I think the Bucs win this by margin. I think this is a very fine survivor option out there. I'm not trusting these rookie quarterbacks week 1. I'm especially not trusting them on the road in professional football. Mo, we move to you, and we move to a game where Donnie was once interested, but he's no longer interested in his beloved New England Patriots. He no longer turns the dial to WEEI every day to listen to updates about them. And Mo, you're looking at the points with the Cincinnati Bengals minus 8.5. Brett, I've got the same exact reaction.
I took under the New England Patriots win total. I am low on this team. This team is horrific, you guys. I'm looking at this team, and I can't see one bright spot on this team. Maybe the secondary, I guess. That's it. But what does that matter when you can't rush the passer and you're facing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? It's not going to matter that they have good cornerbacks.
Yeah, put a maybe in front of that, buddy.
It's not going to matter. Bill Belichick is gone, guys. He coached up these DBs. He had this defense playing better than its talent. This is a horrific team. They have something called Vidarian Lowe, not only starting at left tackle, it's also injured apparently. So I don't even know who's playing offensive line for this team. How can they stay within 10 points of a Super Bowl contender? Someone tell me.
The good thing is
road.
The good thing is they're playing against an absolute garbage defense in the Cincinnati Bengals.
I don't know if they're going to be garbage.
I mean, do they have anybody that's any good other than, was it something Troy Hendrickson?
Yeah, they have a good coordinator. They have professionals.
Is
I mean,
he a good coordinator though? They were terrible last year.
I know they were, but it happens. I mean, it's defense. Sometimes the other teams play good, and you lose a couple key pieces, and shit falls apart a little bit. But he's done well in the past with, I don't think, amazing talent. And then I just still am looking at this defense. I don't know how they were that bad because they have decent professionals at basically every position. I don't think the Bengals are going to be horrible on defense. I think they're probably going to be about average, okay? Maybe slightly below.
Low total of 41.
The
This just screams...
Patriots are awful.
This just
guys.
screams brisket backdoor all over it.
Yeah,
and it's
I
soft.
don't see how else they can cover. How is this team staying within 10 points? They have the worst receiving core in the NFL. They have the worst offensive line maybe in the NFL, definitely bottom 5, and they have maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL. And the guy who powered this team to being an elite defense is gone. This line should be 10.
10.
Tell me why it shouldn't.
Well, Brett's got the Pats soft bubbling his card, so he'll tell you.
I don't know what this offense is going to look like. Like, Burrow coming off yet another injury. He's historically been awful in season openers. A lot of those came when he was already injured, yes, but like I don't know, what is the chemistry going to look like with these receivers? Question mark still around Chase. Obviously a huge downgrade if he doesn't suit up, but like he's got a new tight end, he's got new receivers. Meanwhile, I think the Pats are just going to try to move the ball on the ground. They might find success against the Bengals up front. With a steady game manager under center in Jacoby, we trust, a favorite of this podcast because all he does is cover. And I think they do cover here, and please just win outright for a Survivor, please. Unless I don't know. We might have some Bengals exposure.
I don't think so.
We'll
I don't think you're gonna see a single member of the class. 40% of the
40% team. I can't do it, man.
We're gonna be rooting for the Pats so hard on Sunday. We move out to the Pacific Northwest. The Seattle Seahawks play host to Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos. The Hawks are -6 in the contest, and Mo has the Broncos in the middle of his card. Not his top 5, but of his 50.
I don't know, man. This one, I was just like initially, okay, it's a rookie quarterback that I don't like on the road in a tough environment. This is a recipe for disaster. But I also don't know if the Seahawks are that much better than the Broncos, man. I mean, they have a lot of talent like on defense, but this team still sucked on defense last year, okay? And dude, what is going on with this Seahawks offensive line? Speaking of random names, somebody, I think maybe I've never seen that name. I have to double check. Oh no,
they're starting Laken Tomlinson,
it's
which
your
is
boy George Fant. He's back.
Two
Why?
Jets legends,
Because
George Fant,
Abraham
Laken Tomlinson.
Lucas is still hurt. How are this offensive line is just never going to be good, I guess. I mean, the interior looks horrific to me. Laken Tomlinson is garbage. He is garbage.
Confirmed.
And George Fant was like one of the worst tackles in the league when he was a starter. I mean, I know he's like a fine backup, but why is he playing week 1? How did they get to this point, man? This Seahawks line is horrific. If there's anything Denver can do, they actually have a couple decent pass rushers. Maybe they can keep this reasonable. I don't know, man. I just don't know if Seattle's that much better than Denver. I think they're better, but I just don't know if they should be 6 points favorites better. I mean, this line was like 4 for most of the offseason, I think.
We'll go to Donnie, because he's got the highest opinion on the Hawks. He's got them in his top 5.
I mean, Mo said it. This is a rookie quarterback that I don't think many of us like on the road. Tough place to play. I'm high on the Seahawks. Talked about it a little bit in the Futures pod. You know, just getting McDonald in there to coach up this defense a bit. They can't be any worse than they were last year. I mean, just even if they have the exact same roster, just getting him in there to make things better is a big improvement, in my opinion. Really like what they're doing on offense. And if Gino and them boys can get cooking, I don't know how Bo Nix and those guys can score with this team. I mean, come on.
We talked about the Cardinals.
How can you say that they're the same team as the Broncos?
We talked about the Cardinals being the ideal team to play in negative script and come back and backdoor. I think the Broncos in this Sean Payton offense are the exact opposite. Dump off city, low ADOT, crap to the running backs. They just aren't built to play from behind. So I think if you like Denver,
I gotta see this Seahawks line block someone, man. I mean, they were embarrassing last year.
Yeah, but I don't think when the Hawks can just, I think, score at will on Denver with this offense, I don't think plunging is going to be the recipe for success for the Broncos in this contest. All right, call it an anti-jinx. Talk about you gotta see it to believe it. How can you guys select the New York Jets against the San Francisco 49ers? Without a doubt, the second best team in football, the Niners. Top down.
What? Hold on. Wait, what?
Unequivocally,
that's not true.
The second best team in football, the Niners? That's not true?
They're not. No, Detroit's better.
Wow. I could see a world where Detroit's better. That's not crazy to me.
Okay, well.
What if the Jets are the third best team?
It's not
Wow,
possible.
look at Brett off the top rope. I love it.
It's not possible, guys.
It is possible.
The last time we saw Rodgers throw a football, he was garbage. Now he's ripped his Achilles off of his body and done nothing for a year. I don't see it. I need Mike Williams to get up to speed. What the hell is he going to be? It's just Garrett. It's just Brees. This is still a race to 20. How do the Jets score more than 20 points? I don't see it.
What if all Aaron Rodgers has to be is a game manager? Look at the talent on this roster, dude. You know, on paper, this might be the second best roster in the NFL. Behind only KC, who gets the Mahomes bump. I think the Jets are right there with like the Niners and the Lions as far as talent on the field. I do have the Niners rated higher because of the coaching factor, but to me, these teams aren't that far apart. I think this should just be 3. I think the Jets are a legitimate Super Bowl contender this year.
That's the other thing is I've never seen Saleh, because we've never been in the situation. He's never had to make a decision. There's never been an inflection point that Robert Saleh's ever been put in front of.
What if you don't need him to make a decision?
Well, I mean, inevitably, these games are razor-thin
Aaron can
margins.
make the decision,
close.
buddy.
Yeah, they're all going to be close.
Aaron can make the decision.
I will say, if there's ever a time to bet on this team, it's when Aaron Rodgers, Tyron Smith, all these guys are upright, because this roster is paper thin when it comes to depth. So if you are going to get action on the Jets, it's probably now or never while everybody's actually standing and playing football.
What about this 49ers defense, though?
They're all back.
What if they're not that good? What do you mean they're all back? Eric Armstead was a monster for them. And then, I don't know, man. Who are these corners? What's an Isaac Yiadom? What is an Isaac Yiadom? You tell me, and maybe I'll believe in this 49ers defense. But Devondre Campbell is a horrific player in coverage, too. Like, they lost some serious pieces, man. And a new coordinator, this could take some time for the Niners defense.
The Jets have to...
Rich is just out on his team, guys. That's just how this is.
Isaac Yiadom.
Every season.
Isaac Yiadom, the Worcester, Massachusetts native, class of 2014.
What's his name from the Discord is going to be so mad at me.
Committed to Boston College on March 23rd. That's March 29th, 2013. How many stars for something?
3.
Isaac?
5.5.
5.63 star. Look at
I disrespect him.
Legend of the game.
How do you do that? How do you just know?
Because I've never heard of this guy, and he went to BC. He has to be 3-star.
Yeah, I need to see it from the Jets. I do. And until then,
This guy is Jag AF.
I think
He's
the
been on
Niners
6 teams.
I think the Niners are pretty likely to win this game by margin. This last game, again, I'm picking the team that's just better at football, but I stuck this at the bottom. My absolute last pick. It is an AFC South tilt between the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. The look on Brett's face sells it, as I am laying the 2.5 with the Texans in this game. I don't know, guys. I don't have the wherewithal to back Anthony Richardson as of yet.
You're scared of all the stuff
Terrified.
you've heard about AR coming out of camp.
Terrified.
You
Absolutely
mentioned
terrified.
it in the
And I'm the
Futures
number
pod,
one.
and
I'm the number one AR guy.
who cares?
Isn't this what you just said about the Jets? You have to back him before he
Yeah.
breaks into pieces.
This is the only time he's going to be healthy. I mean, you might as well buy in now. I mean, what the hell?
I mean, I totally get it. But guys, this Texans team is terrifying. Like, we may look back on this line, 2.5. So it's probably, if a 1.5 of value right now for home field would be Texans minus 5.5 at home. We might look back at the end of the season and say, why wasn't this a touchdown? Brett does not believe.
Touchdown on the road.
No. A touchdown total. No. A touchdown.
Okay, sorry.
A touchdown total of value. Right now it's saying 5.5.
Yeah, and I think this is probably maybe not wrong team favorite, but this should be a pick. I understand why this line is where it is. Like, NFL bettors and fans are in love with the Texans this year. And look, they have a very good roster. Probably the next big star of the league under center, for sure. But let's not forget, this is a team that last year had one of the softest schedules in the NFL. They lost to the Panthers. They lost to Desmond Ridder. They got blown out by Zach Wilson. They put up some huge stinkers last year. This was
Stroud,
an average.
Stroud got concussed against the Jets.
Fair. But this was an average team last year, and now all of a sudden this is a top 5 or whatever team in the NFL. I'm not buying it yet, and this game is priced like they are a top 5 team. I don't think Indy is a slouch, and now they're home underdogs in week 1. I just don't see it. I think this should be closer to a pick. I think they have a significant coaching edge here, and Shane Steichen has had all offseason to prepare for this game, and it is a massive divisional game. And rule of circle, the Texans knocked off the Colts in week 18 last year in Indy to knock the Colts out of the playoffs and get in. So I believe the Colts will be able to run all over Houston in this game, whether it's Taylor or Richardson or both, control the tempo, and I think they can get enough pressure on Stroud to keep him from carving up with these weapons. This is a money line bet for me. I've been looking for ways to fade the Texans this year. I do have a Colts division future in my account, and I will have this game in my account as well. I think this is a clear Colts side. I'm very curious to see what the contest does.
I was about to say, isn't this a contest play?
I think so because of the number, but I don't know.
Don't fake sharps love the Colts? Mo, you've got them in your top 5 as well.
Honestly, a lot of what Brett said, I don't have too much to add. I also think big coaching edge. I have respect for D'Amico for sure. He did a tremendous job last year.
Gonna
But
have Richardson's head spinning on Sunday.
I thought Steichen was incredible last year, man. They had an awful roster, kind of, especially on offense. They have one receiver last year, unless you consider Josh Downs a real receiver, which I don't know if we can. This might be Rich's rule if he's not a real receiver. And then, like, I just, this Colts offensive line is really powerful, man. They're going to be able to run block quite well, and you have enough weapons, I think, as long as Pittman stays upright and Mitchell gives them something. This Colts team is decent, man. A nice front 7 on defense. I have questions in the secondary for sure. That's what scares me, honestly, when I look at this game. There is a huge mismatch on the outside with the Texans wide receivers against these Colts DBs. They are quite bad, I think, outside of Kenny Moore, I believe. But like Brett said, could be an edge up front here. This is still, I think, just an okay Texans offensive line. I know they have like a beast out there in Tunsil, but he stinks at run blocking anyways. And then the rest of this line is somewhere between decent to Shaq Mason, I think is pretty good. But a lot of just the guys on this line that they could get overpowered by a really strong Colts front here. This might be rule of trenches on both sides of the ball. The weak point of this Texans defense, I think, is going to be opposing running games attacking them. They look a little bit soft in the middle to me, and they lost critical linebackers who were honestly pretty awesome for them, man. Harris and Cashman were pretty much beasts for the Texans last year. They're both gone.
Blake Cashman.
They were good. They were good last year.
Blake Cashman. I think we got to a sixth rounder from the Texans for trading them Blake Cashman. Brett's got the Dolphins, Saints, Eagles, and Rams. He especially loves the last two. Donnie's got the Bills, Vikings, and Commies. Mo's got the Bengals and Broncos. I've got the Niners and Texans. Those are the Lone Wolves. It's time, boys, for the Week 1 card.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Brett led the way last year, so he leads things off here in 2024 with a game we just discussed.
Yeah, I've got the Colts. I think I made it pretty clear how high I am on them this week. So let's go, Indy.
Let's keep it in the AFC South for my selection because I was second in the standings last year. And we've got the guy who not only puts mayonnaise in his coffee, but eats banana peels. We've got the Tennessee Titans plus 3.5 on the road against the Chicago Bears.
Well
Mo,
done.
you're shaking your head over there.
I thought you were going to say Trevor Lawrence. You disappointed me, but you know what? I'm going to let you have your fun here. Good luck.
Hashtag trust the collective. Mo, we go to you. We move out west to a game I will not enjoy watching 1 second of this contest.
Sorry, Donnie and Rich, but Brett's with me here. The Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders on the card. DP rounds out our selections. Another sounder here. And we go to our first NFC selection, DP.
Let's go, Davey boy. Let's go, Bryce. Panthers.
What a collective card it is so far.
I just
Anthony
wanna-
Richardson, Will
I just want
Levis,
to tell you guys,
Gardner Minshew, and Bryce Young.
it's
We're back,
very,
baby.
very hard to put into context how bad Bryce Young was last year. I didn't get to mention this earlier. He had a worse DVOA than Tommy Cutlets, you guys. That's how bad he was. That's tough to do.
All right, ODB, don't you worry. Let's get an elite quarterback on the card.
The collective chooses the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oy.
What is the oi about? What is the oi?
They're
Manati?
going to get destroyed.
All the Dolphins
Destroyed.
did last year was destroy bad teams.
Maybe the Jags are
And-
bad.
Can you stop?
The Jags were the 1 seed in like December last year.
Yeah, and they didn't even make the playoffs.
There's just so much buy signal for Trevor Lawrence, though. Like, he was playing hurt. I mean, his receivers let him down repeatedly. The running game was complete garbage. It literally, like, can't be worse than it was. I just feel like we have to buy in on the Jags. I don't know, man. I
When
took some Jags
BTJ
futures.
When BTJ goes 7 for 120 and 2 on Sunday, I just want you to thank us in the chat, Brett. It's demon time.
Have your fun.
Okay. Card is set. I'm stressed, guys, because Survivor this week is very, very tough. We'll go over to Mo. He writes one of the most popular Survivor columns on the entire internet for thelines.com. And as we mentioned previously, the Bengals are going to be ultra mega super chalk, projected to be 40% owned in Survivor contests across the world. Mo, what are your thoughts here? Tell us, walk us through your article, and then you can lead us off with your pick right now. I don't know if we're locking them in. I might need time to continue to think.
Well, it sounds like multiple people might need time to continue the thing. Initially, I was thinking Seattle, but
You can't. They play on Christmas and Thanksgiving.
It's
By the way,
hard, yeah.
in Circa, just to explain, Thanksgiving and Christmas have their own island slates, 3-game slates, and there are 2 teams that play on both. It's Chicago. Chicago and Kansas City play.
it's the Chiefs are the big key this year. They're the biggest key in Survivor because they play both and they'll be favored every game, obviously. So you kind of have to build your season. Okay, Felix. You kind of have to build your season around what the Chiefs are doing. I obviously I kind of built my entire thing around what I think are going to be a couple of bottlenecks. I think the Chiefs might be a bottleneck. It's going to be Chiefs and Cowboys. That's the bottleneck on Thanksgiving, right? Everyone's going to click Chiefs or Cowboys. So I'm trying to avoid those picks. So I built my entire strategy around those.
I was going to go to Brett because Brett the contrarian.
I think people are going to play Dallas on Thanksgiving and save the Chiefs for Christmas. So I think the Chiefs on Thanksgiving is probably a sharp play.
That Christmas slate is absolutely brutal.
It's gross.
It's really tough.
There seems to be no obvious selection. So my idea of Christmas is, it's annoying, but I want to hold all 6, hoping for injury. But then if you get to that point and everybody has the advantage of that injury, then you're going to have a slate where there's massive ownership on one of the teams. There's just no good way of approaching it.
That's when it gets fun, though. That's when you go max leverage.
That's when you have Davis Mills for millions of dollars of equity.
Oh God, yeah, maybe.
Anyways, Brett's going to be mad at me because I went a little bit chalky here, but I kind of like the Bills, man. They're not going to be they have a really tough schedule, and I think if there's one spot where people are going to use the Bills, it's probably when they play Tennessee. So I'd rather just take them here in a spot where we know there's some variance here. Yes, they could lose because the opposing passing game has a pulse. It's never the underdog you want to be fading usually, but I don't see, like Donnie said, I don't see how Arizona can get a stop in this game. This is a horrendous defense against still Josh Allen, man. I know they lost some pieces, but the Bills should really, really truck this defense. So I think I'm going to go with the Bills at 1/3 of the ownership of Cincinnati, man. I think it's fine.
I'm torn between two sides, the Bucs and the Lions. The Lions, like I said, are not big favorites again until week 8, where they're projected to be 7.5-point favorites at home against the Titans. They do play on Thanksgiving, so that is of consideration. But I don't know if I'm going to be lining up to take them against the Chicago Bears. In that contest, the Bucs, they will not be big favorites.
You will when Caleb's not playing quarterback.
But then everybody else will, going back to what we were discussing. The Bucs are not field goal favorites again. Well, I guess they are against Denver in week 3? But then after week 3, they're not laying more than a field goal again until week 17. So this might be one of the few chances all year to take Tampa in Survivor. So they are currently my lean for week 1.
They are also my lean, which makes me nervous. I was looking at Seattle, of course, but I'm actually kind of concerned that there's going to be Seahawks steam in this contest. There's a lot of people talking about the Seahawks in Survivor.
Well, they have no future value whatsoever.
That makes me nervous. And you made some good points about that offensive line. That's a little terrifying in week 1. So I'm also looking for ways to fade Jaden Daniels early, and I think this is a great spot to do it with this Bucs team. So that's where I'm leaning right now.
I think it's good arbitrage against the Saints too, because I think the Saints will be top 3 in ownership this week. They're very similar reasons to the Bucs. You've got a young bad quarterback on the road, probably much more negative sentiment towards Bryce Young because we've seen him play poorly as opposed to Jaden Daniels when he's just the mystery box that could be a boat, so people might be afraid to fade it. So I think this is good arbitrage against the Saints. DP, where's your head at?
I mapped out, I think, 4 different paths. I mean, it's hard because if you want to keep all those teams for Thanksgiving and Christmas, I think it's weeks like 5 through 8 get like super kind of tricky depending on which way you go. I mean, initially my first pick was, I think I was going to go Chargers. But if you guys are so strong on the other side, then I'll avoid that. Next, I was going to go Bills, then Seahawks. I did, after we kind of talked in the Discord, Rich, about some Survivor stuff, I did chart a path using the Bucs, even though I technically picked the Commanders, but my 1-pointer or whatever. But if if you guys are going to be on the Bucs, I would happily be on the Bills or the Seahawks overall. I mean, I think there's some pathways there. I don't really see a lot of future value for the Bills, even though, I mean, I guess there's a chance that the Cardinals could just like do something crazy and win this game. But the Bills, I mean, like, if people are going to save the Bills, they're going to save them for what, week 16 or week 18? And that's the 2 New England games, you know? But it's like, okay, you're just going to buy into the maximum chalk there because everyone's going to be on them. And if you specifically want to look at like week 18, I know that's obviously way at the end of the season. I mean, first of all, it's in New England. Is Buffalo going to have a playoff spot locked up and they're going to sit some people? I mean, you don't know about the week 18 stuff as well. So I don't know. The more I've kind of looked at Survivor and kind of charted out different paths, it's like extremely tricky when you factor in if you want to keep people on Thanksgiving and Christmas. It just seems very difficult. I even thought of like, you know, I have one path where like I'm taking Baltimore in week 2, for example. Like I'm kind of the one thing that I looked at through my paths that I was charting is like, okay, how can I target the Raiders because I'm super low on them? How can I target the Pats? How can I target the Titans? Like those are the 3 teams that I'm like super low on overall. So how can I kind of target them? So yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I'm not ready to make a decision at this point, but if I had to right now, I'd probably go Bills. Seahawks would be my second option, and then yeah.
I think the most prescient information that we can pass along is do not select the Cincinnati Bengals this week. They're going to be so popular in whatever contest you're playing. They're touchdown favorites to be projected in week 3. They're touchdown favorites to be projected in week 9. 5-point favorites in week 13. 8.5-point favorites in week 17. There's going to be chances to take the Cincinnati Bengals later in the year. Do not be amongst the 40% in your pool that take the Bengals this week.
It's an easy way to already create a unique path, right? Like having access to the Bengals during those later weeks already gives you unique exposure to that team. So I think that
the Bengals have some good spots. Like one of those weird areas that I was looking at week 6, they play at the Giants. Like, and yeah, you can say, okay, they're going to be big favorites there. The Giants might not be that good. The Bengals are going to be getting better if they start a little bit slow. So they might be chalky there. But the counterpoint is, well, if 40% of the people already use them in week 1, then you know you're not going to get as much as that chalk later on in some of the favorable spots that the Bengals can be. In week 9, they have the Raiders, who again I'm low on. They play at Tennessee if you're low on them. So there are some spots in the future for the Bengals, yes.
So I think there's no consensus right now.
No, consensus is no Bengals.
The consensus is definitely no Bengals. But we will be probably on a shorter favorite this Sunday. So there'll be some graphics here if you're watching the video of our leans right now. But of course, at Gridiron Gamble on Twitter, you will get our final Survivor selections along with any changes to the card, which I don't think there'll be any injuries or anything that affect the games that we've selected this evening. Well, there's a weather delay in Kansas City right now, so the game hasn't even kicked yet. So I'm very excited to shut this thing down, turn the game on, and enjoy some football this weekend. Follow these guys on Twitter at Brett Colson, COLLSON, at Donnie_Peters, and at Mo Nuwara, NUWWARAH. Absolutely need 5-0 to start the season. And 4 Survivor wins as well.
How about the 3-2 body blow with this kind of card?
Peace! Out.